What is happening, guys? We are heading to CES Motorsport, 3 letters, MHD. What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video with your boy Thick Whips. Today we are actually flashing the car with MHD. I never thought I'd say that. But as you guys know, we have been tuning under boot mode with literally all of my cars. Every car that I've owned on this channel, I have tuned with the boot mode platform. Boot mode is great. There's nothing wrong with boot mode, but for me to give accurate and unbiased reviews, I felt like it was probably wise of me to experience other tuning platforms. And I think that MHD is one of the more popular platforms out there as far as alternatives to boot mode. In addition to it just being another alternative to boot mode, John over at CES Motorsport was one of the first shops to have a Supra. And many of the OTS maps that were developed for MHD were developed at his shop on his Supra, on his dyno. So I've been able to review a lot of the power graphs and dyno numbers that they have put down on his Supra under MHD in comparison to what I've put down on my Supra on the same dyno under boot mode, and the results are pretty interesting. And so in this video, I want to help people decide whether MHD is for them or whether boot mode is for them. But like I said, I think you're gonna be able to get to where you wanna be or very close to it under both of the platforms. In my opinion, I think boot mode is a little more conservative, where I feel like MHD is a little more aggressive when it comes to the tuning. So I think we'll probably see some higher numbers. Ooh, she do rip through gears though. Okay, just pulled into the shops. We're gonna get into this process of tuning. I think what's gonna happen today is we are gonna flash in MHD. I'm gonna show you guys that process, kind of explain the differences between MHD and boot mode off the bat, and then we're gonna hop over to the dyno and we're gonna lay down some new numbers. I'm thinking a couple of maps, probably gonna use the OTS pump map, and then I think we're gonna do some form of E-blend map. It might be a custom map. Like I said, John and MHD have been making all the maps for the Supra here at his shop, so he has them all. Basically, like if I go pure or I do anything like that, I can just literally flash in the map that he has, and I'm good to go. Same when it comes to adding in meth and all that stuff. So a lot of you guys are probably anticipating the meth video. Why haven't I tuned for meth? We're gonna be making some changes to the way that the meth kit is installed on my car. I only have one jet right now, and we're thinking of changing out the lines to stainless steel because we want to be able to tune the car with methanol, but using M1 rather than using the 50/50 boost juice. Now 50/50 boost juice is okay, but you're really not gonna see the benefits until you go to something like an M1 mix. Whether it's like a 70/30 or 100% M1, you're just going to reap way more benefits going with a dual jet system and M1. John here at CES like loves tuning and using meth on these cars. My thing is, what is the most practical? Now, we will do the methanol tuning and the numbers for you guys. I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not gonna run it that much because I just don't like having to like monitor the tank, put in more meth, have the tune for the meth. It's just another thing that adds to driving. And for me personally, I really like just having a 93 pump map and an E50 or an E-blend map. That for me is perfect. All right, we're letting her cool down here a little bit. We're gonna flash in the maps right away, and then I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of the flashing process, kind of what the interface looks like in comparison to boot mode. And then from there, we will just go directly into dynoing the maps. So it's gonna be 2 maps. It's going to be the pump map, and then it's going to be the E30 map. I believe that's what we're doing. It's either E50 or E30. The E30 map is going to be a custom map made by MHD for the Supra. So that is one of the maps that John and MHD worked on together. On that note, just to be very clear, this isn't like a diss to any of my previous tuners. I still think boot mode is a great platform. I still think Payne, F80 Paul, Kerry Jordan are all fantastic tuners under boot mode if that's what you want to do, or EcuTech, whatever you want to do. This video is primarily so I can learn about MHD and I can accurately, unbiasedly give people my opinions when they ask me on both platforms. There really hasn't been that much content done comparing MHD and boot mode from someone who's actually done it on a Supra. The majority of people that you see putting out numbers and tune videos, they just stick to one, which I've done like boot mode my whole life. I really want like another perspective. I think it's good content. It's gonna be informative for you guys and bring some value. Anyways, let's get into the flashing process.
So basically you have your main buttons down here and you have your back button there. Okay. So this is obviously the main screen. Yep. And then when you're ready to flash your map, you hit your MHD map, pulls up your maps. Stage 0 obviously is stock, but MHD actually remains installed on the car. And then stage 1 and then stage 2 for the various upgrades that you have on the car. Yep. And then your octanes based on what you want to run. Yeah, so guys, I want to point out one of the differences that I noticed right off the bat is that with boot mode, it actually creates a new map for every single octane and every single stage. So you end up with like pages of maps. This makes way more sense to me. Just having a little tab here where you select the octane. It's those little details that, in my opinion, make such a big difference when it comes to your user experience. So we have everything adapted to this car. We have the license. It's all activated. We're good to go. And we're doing, I believe we're doing a 93 stage 2 with the downpipe. And then we're doing the custom E30 map, right? Well, we can do the ODS E30 map first, and then we can do the custom E30
Oh, okay. Map. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see the differences. Yep. Cool. And John, welcome back to the channel. Hey. I would assume that the flashing process is probably pretty close to the same when it comes to like...
So the very first flash obviously takes a little bit longer. With the cable, it used to take 30 minutes. Now it should take about 3. An actual flash from map to map on the Supras is about 7 to 9 seconds.
So the process of basically flashing in your first time flashing in a new map with MHD is relatively the same when it comes to MHD versus boot mode. So we're going to start with a 93 octane stage 2 map. There we go. I'll bring it up, and you'll have 2 options here: long right, and then you'll have options down here. We're going to go into options. So this is like configure if you were in boot mode, and then you can change everything. So your exhaust setup is under, I have aftermarket downpipes. We're going to remove the limiter, and then exhaust burble, you can change that. You can have it off or on. Cold start, noise reduction, exhaust flap always open, startup roar, all that stuff. Sport cooling mode for intercooler, you can do all that right in here. So it's the exact same, pretty much the exact same, just looks a little different as boot mode. And then another thing that we can check out here is if you go down here, so you can flash back to stock, and then you also have your generated updated backup. So if you need backups made, and then monitor, so data logging, you can go into data logging. Here's all your data logging stuff. Codes, you can read DME codes, clear them, all that stuff. But for this, we are going to be tuning in the stage 2 93 octane right here. Let's go ahead and click on that. And the first one will take a little bit longer. Just like when you first flash in with boot mode, it takes a little bit longer to unlock that DME. It's going to do the same thing with this.
Already starting.
We're flashing it in. So John brought up a good point. When you are flashing this in, make sure you do not touch anything on the car, even the doors, leave them open. Don't mess with windows, don't mess with anything. And then we did go ahead and throw on a battery charger just in case.
And you can already see that, you know, even though it said 9 to 20 minutes for this, you're less than a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. I've seen you flash in other cars before that were already flashed and like switching maps, and it's like lightning. At the end of the day, those kind of things actually do make a big difference. When you're constantly switching between maps like I am 2, 3, 4 times per week, that becomes kind of a big deal.
Oh, yes. Even when you're tuning and you're doing adjustments and everything else, you know, being able to flash quickly to put a new map in and do another dyno test or whatever, it helps tremendously. It used to have to wait 2-3 minutes at a time just to flash in a new update, where it's now it's, you know, seconds.
You had one of the first Supras here in a shop, and you guys were developing maps with MHD.
Well, actually, I have to give a little bit of credit to Jake Yamona. He's actually working with MHD guys. He reached out to us specifically and is like, hey, you know, I heard you might be picking up the Supra. We'd like to work with you to start developing some tunes. And of course, we're, you know, super happy about that. So when we did get the shop Supra, we immediately brought it to the shop and they began testing on the shop car. We were able to successfully flash the ECU and immediately begin tuning. And that's kind of how it all began over a year ago with the MHD guys, and I got to know Marshall and Momir and Fabian at Pure Boost, who does a lot of the custom tuning that we do here, and the rest is kind of history. We've been developing ever since. I think some of the OTS stuff that they have available out there was developed right here, and hopefully it's been doing well for a lot of other customers and we're continuing to develop more stuff.
How many people are doing boot mode in your shop, and how many people are doing MHD?
Well, you know,
like, what's the percentage split?
I think it's probably about a 50-50.
Okay.
You know, there's cars that we like doing the bootmod3 platform on more, and there's cars that we like doing the MHD on, and ones that we're also more familiar with. But I think it basically comes down to customer preference also. There's certain people that want the bootmod3 experience, and others that want the MHD experience, and others that will just, you know, go either way based on what we recommend. Honestly, I mean, I like both. You know, both have their features that are good. I think for M4, M3 owners, we do a lot more of the bootmod3 stuff. It's been very successful and very repeatable power that we've done. For the MHD stuff, we really like it on the Supras, and we like it on the N54 and 55 cars quite a bit. Our single turbo kit stuff that we do is all MHD tuned, so we really like it for that platform as well.
I also want to remind you guys, we actually did the unlock here when we initially did boot mode, and we did it with active. So they were able to unlock my car because it needed a bench unlock, my Supra. And I know there's a lot of Supra guys out there that need bench unlocks. So if you're wondering if you can do a bench unlock for boot mode and then use it under MHD, you can. You don't need to relock and then re-unlock. You can just flash right into MHD. It's really that simple.
The important thing is, if you do flash, make sure that you don't flash back to stock and relock the DME when you do that. Always leave it unlocked, because if you do the relock, then you'll have to do the bench unlock over again. So definitely do not relock the DME if you do flash back to stock before you switch platforms.
I think if you're trying to go to EcuTech though, it's a different story. You'll have to relock and then re-unlock. For me personally, that's why I'm not going to EcuTech. Being able to just flip over to MHD is as easy as coming here and doing it. And if you guys are interested in unlocking, they have the service. You can just walk in and bring your car here, and they can do that for you here, which is huge. Not a lot of people are doing that in the area. So
just make sure it's not after June of 2020. They created a new lock after that, and there still is no unlock for ECUs that are programmed after that date.
RIP the majority of A91 owners.
Correct. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Who knows how long it's going to take? I mean, that's like one of the big questions. I'm really surprised that they haven't already cracked it, because people are kind of like freaking out. Like, what am I going to do? I bought this car to tune it.
We've had a lot of people asking too, and we're like, we can't do it until that's been unlocked.
That's a huge bummer. We're going to dyno the car and put down the numbers that we have on the 93 Octane Stage 2 MHD OTS map. And then we're going to compare them with the previous numbers we did under boot mode, so you guys can really see the difference in like the graphs and everything. So it should be good. Let's get into it. All right, so first run with MHD. So here we are already at 441 wheel horsepower, 503 torque, 93 pump, OTS, not a custom tune, just right out of the gate. Not too bad.
That's great.
All right, so to show you guys what we have here, the black and the red are going to be the MHD numbers. The other colors that you see, the blue and the blue and the green, those are boot mode OTS numbers. And what I want you guys to pay attention to is how clean the red and the black is compared to the blue and the green. So if you guys remember, I had a video where I was talking about I just can't drive on this boot mode OTS tune. You can see it right here. You can literally see what is happening in that tune. It's just squiggly, it's all over the place. That is exactly what I'm feeling when I drive it. So if you look at the MHD, just look at how clean that graph is. It's super smooth. As far as numbers go, you know, first pull, 441, 503, really, really good numbers. I think we're gonna try one more on this map, but as far as, you know, talking to John, it seems like that's probably where we're going to end up. So we don't need to go too crazy on that. Yeah, let's go ahead and give it one more run, see where we're at, and then we'll move into E30. Dude, I'm loving how clean these graphs look. Man, look at that. Look at how good those look. So we got 441 on the first one at 503. The second one gave us 445 at 500. Super consistent. So we know that that's where we need to be. But just look at how clean these are.
We've done a lot of work on these, and MHD definitely has refined these since we've been working on them as well. And I mean, these are 82-degree ambient temps also, so it's not like, you know, we're 40, 50 degrees out here. This is normal operating temps on the dyno and still getting these, and this was not a shutdown. This was just 2 back-to-back passes on the dyno, and those are the numbers.
Also, let me add this in there because I know you guys are going to ask about this as well. We wanted to throw up the pain tune so we can compare the pain tune. Now, the pain tune made the boot mode platform work much better with these graphs. I mean, you can see clearly it's much cleaner. He's the green, by the way. Pain is green. As far as numbers go, very consistent, very close to what we had going on with MHD, except, you know, MHD, these are OTS maps. So they did the work on the OTS maps. You know, for me, I had to go custom in order to get this kind of dyno graph with boot modes.
And you can also see how you do have more power up top than even the pain tune for this particular setup.
But, you know, I didn't want to make this video about who's not good and who is good, because that's not the purpose of this video. You can clearly see both of these tunes are fantastic. It's the road to getting to that level, that point. And what I think is important to see here is that, you know, one of these is OTS and one's custom. Proof is in the pudding, man.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's very
impressive.
impressive.
We like to see stuff like that. Stage
2 E30, we're gonna flash it in, mix the fuel, and then do that next, and then we'll move on to an E30 custom map that you guys had made here, and we'll see what that puts down. I'm excited to check it out. I may or may not already know what that's down, but I'm excited to see it. All right, so we just added in the E, and we are now at E30, just a little above E30, about E34. Another nice thing to mention is that with MHD, they actually have your fueling levels. You can find those right on there. So that's a big deal when you are mixing fuel. When you don't have an analyzer or a flex fuel kit, which I will have soon, don't have it yet. But if you're doing it manually, it's really nice to know exactly how much fuel is in your car. You can use the Supra app on your phone, but it's not as precise as that. So this one is going to be a stage 2 OTS E30 run. And then we're going to move into a custom map that was made for this car. And we'll see what that puts down. Stage 2 E30 OTS, putting us right at 477, 530 torque. We got one more in store. We're gonna actually move on to a custom E30 map, which might make a little bit more. As far as OTS, this is what you can expect if you're running an E30 blend, OTS, MHD, stage 2. That's what we're looking at. So watch how quick this flashes in, you guys. So this is the E30 custom. There it goes, starting. And done. That's one other thing, you know, it's kind of nice when you're flashing with MHD. It is really, really quick when you're switching between maps. 8 seconds.
Give or take. Yep.
8 seconds right time. Okay, so what are we doing? We've decided to, and I've been thinking about this for a while, we're gonna take this air box out. All right, just like that, new intake's on. We actually just kept the AMS carbon fiber piping, and then I just put on a K&N filter because the filter that came with the AMS one looked like super restrictive, so we just ended up going with this one. This enclosure over here is so small and so tight, it just is killing the restriction. So it might look cool, but I don't know. I think I'm just gonna run open-ended. And this is the AMS filter. It's got this fucking honeycomb shit on it. I had actually been considering changing up the intake anyway, so I'm just gonna run it like this. Yo, did you guys hear how loud this intake is with the open cone? It is so loud. I like it. I'm running open cone from here on out. All right, boys. We have officially made it into 500 and 552. Look at how clean that graph is too, man. So this is the MHD custom E-blend tune. Really, really happy with these numbers. So this is all stock turbo, 500 wheel horsepower, 552 torque. see what we got. Rounding it off with the custom E-blend tune, we ended up at 507 and 552. Super clean curve. Graph looks good.
Even with the shop temps and the intake temps being in the 90s when we were starting these pulls, still making great power. Really happy to see these numbers.
All right, so we have a custom tune by Payne, which also looks really good. I mean, if we're being honest, you know, they both look really solid.
The top end power is definitely a significant advantage with this particular tune. You're definitely going to feel that a lot more, and even that. Let's just show like at 5500, for example, where you're at 471 before, you're now at 501 or almost 502. Huge. So that's, you know, that's a pretty significant jump. What are we, 30 wheel there?
And that's at 5,500 RPM?
That's at 5,500, as one data point. But all across the board from 5,000 on, you're definitely making a significant amount more power and torque. Yeah. Which you're going to feel on the street.
Up top, for sure.
And this, you know, considering the torque is very close in this range, that's not going to be as significant as the top end when you're pulling away.
So there you guys have it. Some comparative data for you guys when it comes to boot mode and MHD, and a little bit about the differences between the two. If I'm being honest, you know, just from the power and the way that it flashes and the way that you use it, I would err on the side of MHD. That's just me. So if you are someone who is looking to have your car tuned with MHD or boot mode for that matter, you guys can come here to CES. You can tune, you can dyno, you can purchase everything from John and make it happen right here in-house. And then, you know, if you want to buy MHD online, there's also a link in the description to where you can do that.
I just want to give a special shout out to the guys at MHD. You know, thank you, Fabian at Pure Boost, also for all the tuning support that you've been doing for us, and Marshall and Omir, MHD guys. They're the ones that make it happen for everybody. And then Jake Yamona also on the programming side of things. He's got a lot of cool stuff that is coming that he's been telling us about. So stay tuned for more fun things that are going to happen.
Dude, so I'm just driving home and like the intake is so loud now. It's crazy. Open cone is the way to go, man. Oh my God, dude. Man, it is like crazy how smooth it is when you drive this car. Everyone loves the smell of E in the morning. What a monster. What a monster of a car. She's doing so well, man. Very happy with where it's at. I feel like we've pretty much covered everything when it comes to stock turbo setups, minus the meth, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that soon for you guys. Anyways, guys, I hope this answered as many questions as possible when it comes to MHD versus boot mode. I think from running both of them, in my opinion, I would probably go MHD over the boot mode platform simply because of those OTS maps, and I feel like the majority of people are just gonna wanna run basic OTS maps on their Supras, and I feel like the OTS maps are better suited for this car, at least when it comes to MHD on that platform. We are officially in the 500 club, which is kind of cool. I don't want to make it like a chasing horsepower thing, but it is cool to be able to say that, you know, you're officially making 500 wheel horsepower. stock turbo Supra. I really do feel like the open intake setup is the way to go. Just simple pipe and a cone. That's really all you need. Anyways, I want to give a huge shout out to the guys over at CES Motorsport for helping out today. You know, if you need any dyno tuning, performance stuff done, make sure you hit them up. They're in the Monroe area, right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Big thank you to MHD. Big thank you to Fabian over at Pure Boost for staying up late and tuning this car for us. I'm gonna have links in the description to pick up MHD for your Supra if you're interested. They have all kinds of different tunes for F30s, 335s, M2s, but all BMW stuff, basically. Any tune for your BMW, MHD can help you out. Anyways, guys, that's gonna wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching. Go cop some new merch. See you in the next one. Peace out.